And hello again, and here we are back in my rather overcrowded garage. Very overcrowded right now. I've got 3 Kawasaki's and my old Guzzi here. I've actually just recently been working on the Mark II, as you can see. So I've got the bodywork on, got it on its wheels, suspension and so on. So that's coming along quite well. But this video is about the new project, the Z1000A1 project, for which the frame is right down here. So things happening quite quickly actually, because I've been buying various parts and yeah, things are rolling along quite well. At the moment we're concentrating on the back end of the chassis, trying to make the XJR 1300 swing arm fit that old chassis, and also of course fit the Z900RS rear wheel and tyre. We now have an appropriate Brembo caliper to fit, and I was just waiting to get some aluminium to make the bracket from, because that aluminium has to be 20mm thick. Jeff didn't have any of it, and nor did I. So actually that's just arrived today in this great big heavy parcel here. That's 20mm thick, and the reason it's 20mm thick is because fitting a Brembo rear caliper means you have to have a step in the bracket, so it's got to be quite thick. I didn't need that amount actually, that's 300mm by 300mm, but I bought twice as much as I needed because you always need some aluminium going forward, and given the cost of postage it made sense to buy that. It's not cheap these days. I mean, this stuff is getting quite expensive, and that was about £50 delivered, so yeah, it's getting quite expensive. Talking about deliveries, I've also had today, this parcel just turned up, and I would guess in here is the aluminium box section that I need to do a little experiment on that swing arm, because I want to maybe make and weld on a underbrace, and that's the material we'll use. Now, to help make that, I think I mentioned it in the last video, I needed some material called bismuth, which is a very low melting point alloy. And what you do is you melt it quite easily. In fact, it melts so easily that you can put your finger in it. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can put your finger in it when it's melted. What we do is use that, pour it into the box section, having first sealed off one end, let it set, and then that allows you to bend the box section as required without it breaking, cracking or failing. So that was the theory. So I went away and I bought some, and I thought, I'm not quite sure how much I need, no idea. So I bought half a kilogram, that's about £1 of material, thinking that should be enough, about a litre, but no, it's not, because it's here in this bag, very small bag, because this stuff, bismuth rather, not azimuth, is very, very heavy. So I'll get it out of this little bag here. That's it. That's it. That's half a kilo. So I think I need a bit more than that to fill up about half a metre's worth of box section. I'll probably need about 5 times that much, and it's not cheap. It's about £15 delivered. So yeah, I think I'll have to buy some more of that. But that's all part of the experimentation, trying to learn things and learn new skills, and yeah, try out new little experiments, try to do new things. That's the whole point of building bikes for me. I don't build them because I can't afford a brand new one. I build them because I like building them. I like playing around and trying out new ideas. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey, as they say. And the good news is, this stuff cost me £20 for a metre of alloy box section, so if it all goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. You know, we lost too much, and we would have learned something as well, so that's quite good. That's what's happening at the moment. So when it comes to the project today, things are actually going okay. I have found, after a lot of research, believe me, we needed to find an appropriate bush so that the XJR 1300 swing arm will fit the 16mm pivot bolt that's used by the frame. And after a lot of research, I found out that what I need is also fitted to a 1970s Suzuki GS1000. So I've ordered those parts. Sadly, I can't just order the bush. I've got to order the needle roller bearings that go with it, because it's part of the bearing. But when that arrives, that should solve the problem of making the swing arm fit nicely in this frame. So that's great. To fit the Z900RS rear wheel to the swing arm of an XJR isn't so difficult, because guess what? They both share the same size rear spindle at 20mm. So I've had to buy an XJR spindle because I didn't have one, and that's arrived now, and that, along with these other parts, we're going to take over to Jeff's tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see a lot of progress. So once that's done, Jeff can crack on, and hopefully we'll have the whole back end, wheel, brakes, swing arm in the back of this old 1979 Z1000A1. When it comes to the front end, things aren't quite so easy. I've been looking on eBay ever since I got the first wheel, the rear wheel, for a really mint front wheel from a Kawasaki Z900RS, and I've not found one yet. There's only one right now on eBay. It's £300 bare, no discs, you know, no bearings, no nothing, and it's not perfect. It's got a few little marks on it, a few little scratches, and it's like, oh no, I want something as good as the rear wheel. Maybe I was lucky to sort of fall on that rear wheel, and brand new, you know, a good price. I only paid £300 for it, and I got a new tyre with it, a new disc, a new sprocket and carrier. So effectively I got the wheel, well, I got the wheel kind of free, basically, because those little parts all add up to almost £300. So I'm trying to find the same sort of deal for the front. So when it comes to the upside down forks I want to use, I have now, as I mentioned in last video, discounted the idea of chopping off the headstock and changing it to suit the newer, bigger bearings used in a Z900RS. Instead, we're going to hopefully very carefully press out the steering stem from the yokes on those forks, those upside down forks, and replace it with one from an old Kawasaki Z1000A1. I've got that, I bought one, we've got it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the good news is that the new stems in the Z900RS and modern Kawasaki's are no longer welded in place as well as pressed in place. They're only pressed in place, so if we very carefully warm it up, put it in the press, apply about 10 tons of pressure, that stem should come out. Now, that's a lot thicker at 35mm than the stems of an old Kawasaki Z. So what we'll have to do is make up adapters, like spacers, to take up the difference between the new, bigger stem and the older, slimmer stem, so it all fits nicely, interference fit on those yokes. Not doing that yet. Those forks are put away back of the house, all nicely wrapped up, because I'll wait until all the work's finished on the back end before we even think about doing the front end, because there's a risk when it's at Jeff's workshop. Like me, he's got hardly any room, you know, and things can get knocked over, things can, you know, get lost, and things can get scratched and damaged. So it's better for it to stay in its box, nice and safe, until it's the right time to take it down to Jeff's, and we can crack on and get those yokes modified almost the same day, and then get them back down here, try them out, all good. So yeah, that's what's happening so far. So in a little while we'll go and see Jeff and see how he's getting on with the back end, and take him all these various parts that have arrived in the last few days. Right, come on, step forward, lad, step forward. Right, so here we are back at Jeff's workshop. Yeah, I'll give you that, you can have that. Might come in handy for something.
It's, well, for whacking somebody with, yeah.
Yeah, can't think who. Well, so, over here now on your press is a rather large piece of material.
It's
big circular thing. What's going on, Jeff? What are you making now?
You know, well, when you said about the clutch spacers.
Oh yes.
That's it. That's 40mm thick there, and this is something that.
Did you make that before? Or is that
no, Ernie? Well, Ernie. When I went round, when I got rid, he said, "Oh, there's a big chunk of aluminium there."
So that was a bit of aluminium that
it's basically been scrapped.
Right. And what it used to be, some sort of wheel or something.
Some like a pipe
cover. I don't know.
Some sort of ice cylinder.
Okay, so if I get a bit closer.
It's bloody good quality.
Yes, anyway. I'm sure it is. So let's get a bit closer.
You can just see on there.
Can you lift it up a little bit so we can see that?
Drilled out.
It's a bit heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You've drilled out 2 or 3 circles.
Because they've got flats on them.
Yes.
When you machine them, they've got flats. There was enough to get 2 out of it.
Oh, right.
You know, for the spacers.
Yes. Now, these are spacers to make...
For clutch
covers
for the
Kawasaki Z. So that's good.
The thing is with it, I mean,
well, why waste it? I mean, it's like.
I mean, well, let's face it. If that's come from somewhere like a pipe, it ain't going to be shit.
No, it'll be good quality.
You know, I mean,
farmer or
for making what we're doing, spacers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it's more than good enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. Plus, if you went out and bought some 40mm aluminium, it would have cost you quite a lot of money. I just bought a little piece of it, 20mm thick, 300mm by 300mm, £50. So that there will probably
circles, two of them.
£1,200 at least, yeah.
If you bought them for just over inch and a half by 7 and a well, just over. I think it's just
that's £100
each. Just over.
You've probably got £200 or £300 worth of material there.
No, well,
altogether,
two of them, they'd be £50 each if you bought two of them.
Oh yeah, and the rest.
Yeah,
and the rest being 40mm. Yeah.
But that, when it was scrapped, when he weighed it, he just said 35 quid for the piece of metal.
Okay.
I know it's took me. It'll probably take a couple of hours to drill it out.
Yes, a million, whatever. But
you know, we've got a few hours spare.
Yes.
Hopefully,
it's not like you know, go to work.
The sand's running out of the egg timer.
Yes.
Rapidly.
Right. Okay. That's great. So we'll come back another day and see how that's getting on.
Well, we've got. I
just brought some more material, and you've got plenty spare there in your spares department for making a few more of those.
The thing is, once you're on the miller and you've got your table on and all your little gizmo
fixtures,
for clamping,
it's
easy. It's not as bad. You can make quite a few of them. Obviously, it takes you longer, but because you're all set up for doing all the little jobs, you can make a lot more
in the time available.
Well, let's just all look and sell.
It's called setup time, isn't it?
Yeah, setup time.
Yes. I remember that from my days in manufacturing.
So
that's good. So let's go and see what else you've been up to. My stuff over there. Anything for you? Anything for you? What have you been up to?
Well, like you say, you've got me some bits for the.
Yes. Oh yeah.
The next stage is to sell that lathe.
Okay, that's a separate thing.
That's a separate thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I've got to get rid of some.
Yeah. You got to get rid of a lot more than that.
Well, my sanity's gone, so
yes, too late for that.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing I brought you is what you've got in your hand right now, and that is a 20mm spindle for an XJ R1300. So hopefully that will fit in my new second-hand swing arm, which is down there. That's a start. And I've also brought you the swing arm bearings from a Zuki GS1000 from the late 70s. Took a while to find it, but you just checked it yourself, and it looks like the bushes will indeed fit.
Yeah.
Yes, because you had one, didn't you? And you weren't sure where it was from.
It's a pity you didn't have.
They have two, but never mind.
Anyway, well, you've got the two in there.
Yeah. So those bearings, they cost me £33. That's the cheapest I can find it. And sadly, I can't use the needle roller bearings because they're made for a different bike. But I can use the bushes, which is what we need. And you can't even make them because they're all hard ground and hardened and so on.
You need serious equipment to make them.
So I'm quite happy to pay £33 for them, and off we go. And I did actually search for all kinds of the bearing companies online there to see if I can find those bushes in the correct size, but I couldn't. It's a bit of an odd size, 25 outer, 16 inner. I can find some 25 15s and 26 15s, but I couldn't find any with a 16. Anyway, so it's good news that they fit. So that means hopefully.
The thing is, they're hardened. So
they are hardened.
To open them out, you'd need an internal. You'd have to have grinding equipment to open them out. Which
it's not worth it.
You're talking.
Right, so that's good news. That's good news. We can now get on with the. With the work on a swing arm.
You can take them back.
Oh, yes.
I'll take them back. I only need them so
they will go back in the drawer for about 20 years and never be used again. Well, but you never know.
Somebody somewhere will need them.
Yeah, so if you've got a GS1000, in fact it's the same as for GSX 1100s and early GSXRs as well, they're all the same. And one thing I like about Kawasaki's in particular is they don't change their sizes unless they have to. So I was checking out the mounts for my Z650 for the foot pegs, and they're exactly the same as the mounts for my 78 Z1000 and the Z1000A1, which makes life a lot easier. It means I can use that as a guide to make some new mounts. So there we have. That's the rear wheel spindle.
Yeah, well, that's... Oh, hang on.
There's the old one. That's a little bit too short, I think.
Hang on.
In comparison, yeah.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Well, hopefully it'll fit anyway.
Oh, it's about bloody, well, over an inch.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that should work quite well.
Hang on, well, what was that then?
Well, the other one was from a Z1000, Z1000 RS.
That one?
Yeah, that's from the swing arm I bought that I ended up not using because it's...
Ah, right.
It's too wide. Right, so now you got all that.
Oh, and we've got the stem out.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So that's the stem from an early Z.
Yeah.
From that bottom yoke.
Oh, are we?
Yes, we're still filming.
Right. This is a very good learning curve for anyone out there.
Go on.
Right.
Go on then.
Years ago, when I did our leses, what did I try and do? Ground the weld off. I thought, we'll press it out. Piece of aluminium on there. Jesus, where's this going? Wouldn't come out. Bent the yoke. Buckle that.
Oh dear.
Only to find
it's got
the part that presses in is smaller than that, and it's probably one of the only.
The wrong one.
It's probably one of
the wrong way.
So you've got to grind the weld off, put it upside down, and then just press it with that to get it out.
I can't tell you if that's the same idea on the modern bikes, but you never know.
No, most of them now they'll just have a circlip end.
Yes.
And they'll just go in.
I haven't looked at it yet.
That way. Yeah. So the odds now of getting something like that is probably.
Yes. But at least you've got it out. That's the first step.
Most of the Kawasaki's don't. It's just on something like the Z1000s and possibly Z650.
Oh, I don't
possibly.
know.
I don't.
All right.
But that is something. If anyone ever comes to want to get a stem out of one, check it.
Yes.
Or you can end up doing a lot of damage.
There you are.
And to buy another one of them or a yoke to get another one if you damage it.
Well, I think mine was £30. I think.
Well, it's £30 you don't want to be spending.
Absolutely. Right, so that's that.
So
now,
that's
obviously,
done.
I won't be bringing you the front end just yet. We want to make sure all these other things are done on the back end and so on. Oh yeah. I'll give you that rusty old fastener.
Do you know something? Someone would probably, if you didn't have one,
on eBay, people sell them.
They get it re-chromed.
Yeah, but the cost of re-chroming it's probably more than I can get.
A stainless one for. Yeah, but then they'd say that's not original. But then if you get that re-chromed, it's not original.
Oh no.
So where do you?
Plus also re-chroming takes months and months and months. Unless you've got a huge big order that's worth thousands of pounds, it seems like you're always at the back of the queue. Anyway, I won't bring you the front end yet. It can stay in this little box at home until we're ready to move forward with that. I want to get the back end done first. So talking about the back end, if you grab the swing arm, which is behind you.
Right, that can win a bit. See, we're running out of room.
Yes, now.
Oh.
You've been busy. You have narrowed.
Did we show this last time?
No, we didn't. You have narrowed the swing arm.
You know, a lot of people, even I mentioned to that, even when you're putting head race bearings in, don't just try and knock them in.
No.
With it, people don't believe how you can damage them.
I know they're very delicate because
easily.
I've done it. I've learned my lesson.
Like you say, when there's a bit of that'll just want a bit of a power wash out with some paraffin and what have you, and re-greasing. It's just it'll all wash out.
So you've made a little fixture.
Piece of studding.
Yes.
2 little things there that are
little top hat spaces.
Yeah, that just so it keeps everything central.
Right.
And then we just wound them in with a piece of sprayed a bit of WD in there. Let it just to give it.
Yes. Now, just to be clear, that's a way of pushing the bearings into the swing arm. But those bearings were already in the swing arm.
They were already in.
But
what we've done now, we've pulled them so it hits up against the shoulder that it
because they weren't. Because as standard, they weren't all the way in.
No, we've actually gone in at least 10 mil each side,
which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I've actually not had to buy. In fact, I have bought new bearings, but those bearings actually are okay. I think
and
inside there.
The original things.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough, if they're shimmed.
Yes.
Will still.
Right.
Well, the rubber sealing there. I mean, where it's machined there. It's going to be difficult.
No, I still want to use the dust covers as well. I want to protect the bearings.
They will push on.
Okay. So how much have you taken off then altogether? I was talking about doing
20 mil.
Oh wow, that's a lot. Because I was thinking I needed 10 mil altogether, but that didn't include the dust covers. So I reckon when I take it back home and try it out on the frame, I might need to make a little spacer to take up the difference.
Well,
that's okay. That's okay.
What we'll have to do is make a centre spacer.
Yes.
In fact, when them are in, because them shims in there are designed.
Yes.
We may actually just keep making the centre spacer just to get it right.
Yes. Yeah, because
I need to know the exact distance between the frame.
Yes.
Which means it's very difficult to measure without the.
Well, I'll bring you the frame.
Well, when we get the frame, yeah.
I mean,
I can sort that out.
We've got a lot of things in here.
See, so then I can machine the centre spacer between them.
Yes.
To just give us, because what we want to try and get it is, you just want it so it's just like a light mallet fit.
Oh, yes, yes.
You don't want it going in sloppy. It needs to go in with a bit of resistance. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so when do you need the frame then? Do you want it now or do you want it next week or?
Well, bring it up next week.
All right. So you're still doing some work.
Well, let me get this caliper bracket done.
Make the caliper bracket, yeah. For which I brought you that rather nice 20mm thick.
Yeah, we've got our new piece
of alloy. And also, so that's that. But also, we've been digging around the spares department, and down here, we've got keep that.
Well,
we've got all this aluminium, some of which is for me that I bought in the past and not used it, so we can use it today.
These two pieces, and you've got another big piece over there.
Yeah, they were bought for things that I didn't use in the end.
Well, as we're going back again,
yes,
that is very. I don't know where it's come from. It's over an inch thick.
Yeah.
I've got to flatten it off.
Yes,
but it's too small for a GPZ. But yours is on your Z.
Yes,
is a little touch smaller, so I know we can get.
Yeah, because all this aluminium here, by the way, is to make a new clutch cover, one-off clutch cover for the engine of the Z1000A1.
We've got the one on the GPZ. You can take a picture of the GPZ back near.
No, that's okay. I've got one already on the 1170.
So we can make the round discs with that.
Yes.
I know there's going to be.
There'll be some wastage.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we can find use for the little offcuts at some point.
Oh, the little.
Don't worry about it.
There might be a little bit there.
I'd rather use them.
Make a small bracket.
I'd rather use them now than leave them on the shelf for the next 5 years and then go and buy for hundreds of pounds some more aluminium plate that's the correct size.
Well, like you say, if we put that on there, by the time I've gone round it and drilled it out more or less to a circle, you're not really ending up with
too much wastage. Don't worry about it.
No, for what you get left. You just throw them in a little tub, and every now and again they
come in handy, as those do.
But like you say, if you have them on the shelf waiting for the perfect job, you're going to be lying in your coffin, aren't you?
Well, to be honest, I've forgotten all about them. I didn't even know I had them.
No, that's what I'm saying. I thought, because that's 5/8, that or 16mm.
16mm, yeah. It does no harm to have some aluminium going spare.
So,
it was in handy. Right, good. So that's also something that's
and I can use that piece, like you say, it's like that big piece of 1/2 inch.
Oh yes.
Well, I'll get one out of that.
Yes. Okay. So we're making progress. But what I want to do at the moment is finish off the back end, get that brake caliper sorted out, get the spacer sorted out.
Yeah.
Get that sorted out.
Once I've got.
Get it home, or actually no, I won't get it home. I'll bring the swing arm here. Sorry, the frame here. We can try it out here, and if it needs that, and if need be, we can make some little spaces to make sure they're absolutely perfect on the frame. Now, once that's done, that's the back end sorted out. We then turn our attention to the front end, and that's when I'll bring you those beautiful upside down forks. And fingers crossed,
somehow
it will be fairly easy anyway, to remove the new stem that's in there right now, and without damaging the finish on those on that lower yoke, and then put that in.
Depends if the top one we can modify with the spec somehow.
Yes.
I mean, if we can get it in and make we'll sort that.
The good news is they're about the correct size. They're about 190mm each, so no need to make any sort of spaces.
That's the original internal. What we could have done with that is cut them off and bush them.
No, it looks pretty worn to me. You see the marks on it.
But then there's a few tiny little marks on it, so it's not worth. It's not worth spending all that time to do that.
No, might be something else. You can use it as a, I don't know, something else.
A drift.
A drift, yeah.
I'll leave it there.
Come in handy for something one day. You never know. Right, good. So that's progress so far. I've now got to go home. I've got a busy day today, and we'll catch up next week. And now here we are, back in my garage. And while I've been away, this box has just turned up. And in this box is a gearbox for the engine that's going in this bike. So for the time being, I'm just going to leave it in the box. I won't touch it because no doubt a cog will get missing, a little spring will go missing. So it's best just to keep it in here. And when the time comes, we'll open the box and go through every cog, every pinion, every shaft, and make sure it's as good as I think it is. Now, I've not really mentioned the engine yet because it's down there just gathering dust. It's just a set of cases and a worn out head. So we'll come back to the engine in a different video because I'm sure this video is getting quite long now. But at least, you know, we're making a start. We're starting to buy various things. Right, so there's two more little points I want to make before the end of this video. And the first one is about this magazine that I've just bought. This is Practical Sports Bikes, this month's edition. And as you can see, it's all about Kawasaki Zs. Now, normally I wouldn't buy this sort of magazine anymore because everything now is online. But what I liked about this particular magazine is that it's not just about standard bikes. It's full of modified bikes, resto mod bikes, tune bikes, you know, endurance racing bikes, all kinds of stuff which I found very interesting. What's also nice is that there's somebody in here with his bike who I know, JB, who lives down Crewe Way, and met JB because he offered us some old turbo pistons for one of Jeff's projects. So he's got his Kawasaki Z650 turbo bike in here that he's owned for many years, so it's good to see. So I don't know if JB watches these videos, but well done you for getting your bike in here. And the other thing I want to mention isn't quite so good, and that's the fact that I know a guy called Paul T. Hello there, Paul. And he texted me last week and said, look, I've got some parts here that I think you might want to buy off me. Are you interested? I said, oh sure, what have you got? And it turns out he's got a brand new set of Mikuni RS34s, which I need to go on the Mark II project. In fact, they're identical to what was in that box there, what I've got on my 1170 project. He's also got some other things such as air filters and coils and that sort of thing, so I'm buying all that from him. But the sad news is, the reason why he wants to sell all this stuff is because he's going to have to give up riding bikes. Really sad, because he's into the kind of bikes that we're into. He's into big Zs, Suzuki's, modified things, turbo bikes, whatever. He loves them. And he did mention, I'm not quite sure what the reason is, and it wouldn't be fair for me to discuss it on a video, but yeah, I just hope perhaps it's not as bad as he thinks it might be in the future, and hopefully, you know, you'll do okay. But I'll certainly try and put those parts to good use on these various projects. So that's two things. What's next? Okay, so next up then, this week for me has been another expensive week because I've been buying a lot of gear. Put a big order in for Z-Power, for various parts for the bike, things like bodywork, side panels, tank, that sort of thing. I did want to also order a seat, a custom seat, but it's not in stock and I don't know when such a seat will be in stock again. And that's something I've found is happening more and more now, because I guess with COVID and the various supply chain problems around the world, sometimes the parts you want are just not available. So therefore, if they are available, if they are in stock, I tend to want to grab them and get them in. Even if I don't really need them for the next few months, it's good to have them and know you won't be waiting for months when you really need them. So that's all happening at the moment, and that big order should be here next week. So yeah, things are happening. I mean, a lot's happening right now. I'm working on this project, the Mark II, a little bit of work on the 1170. I'm just waiting for some parts from Camcoat. Yeah, a lot going on at the moment. And that's good because right now it's a beautiful day, it's a summer's day, and that means I can easily roll out the bikes, 2 or 3 of them at least, out on the drive, and either work in here with a bit more room or work outside on the drive. And I can't do that come the autumn and winter when it's rainy and cold and, you know, it's awful. And that means my little window of activity is quite small. Can't work in here in the winter because look round, there's no room. I mean, I can, but it's very difficult. And I'm certainly not rolling out incomplete bikes with open carbs and so on a winter's day out there in the rain and the snow. That's not going to happen. So we have a little window over the summer June, July, August, maybe a bit of September, when I can get a lot done, and I want to get a lot done. So yeah, the next few months are going to be very busy. Anyway, so far so good, a lot going on, and we'll continue this video into next week when I'll go back and see Jeff, and hopefully we can bolt the XJR swing arm and the wheel and the brake into this old Z frame.